What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Jericho Report Weekly News Briefing. It is Sunday, the 26th of February, 2023. The month is almost gone. As always, the first link below will take over the Patreon post. That's where you can find all this week's madness. Where do we start off? Let's just see. Let's start off with suddenly dead. Flight attendant 24 died suddenly moments after landing at Stansted Airport. I believe that's in London. Healthy woman died suddenly. Nobody knows why. 3 teachers dead in 3 months. At Thomasville Primary School. Where's this at? That's down in North Carolina. 3 teachers in 3 months die mysteriously. Dukes of Hazzard star's wife dead at 53. Died mysteriously. No cause of death given. And Saving Private Ryan star Tom Sizemore is in intensive care after suffering a brain hazard. And then you might say, well, he was a drug user. Maybe that caused it. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. I always liked Tom Sizemore, though. We got this woman. Let's see. Kelly Picker's husband, Jacob's dead of apparent suicide. They're saying it was an apparent suicide. Was it, or was it something else? Let's see here. I got a little news here from Fox News. Just listening to this.
And it found a 1,200-fold increase in menstrual abnormalities and a 57-fold increase in miscarriages. Wait, where's Planned Parenthood on this? Don't they care about women? There's also a 38-fold increase in stillborn or fetal death.
Don't look at us, people. We told you long ago. Report says CNN has ongoing conversations about replace Don. Did you piss someone off? Over to Joe Biden news. We got Kiev has captured part of my heart. I knew I went back. He went to over there this week. It was a surprise trip and took everybody by surprise while people are suffering over in Ohio. He said he even going to Ohio. All across my country. Well, just listen to what this clown has to say.
All across my country, in big cities and small towns, Ukrainian flags fly from American homes.
Really? Front of my house has an American flag, and it should be going upside down, you know what I mean? Did you fall down the steps again? Somebody fell down the steps of Air Force One. Now, they do have a video out there of him tumbling up the steps as he was leaving Poland, but somebody fell down. Was that you, Mr. President? Jimmy Carter to receive hospice care following hospitalization. That sucks, but ABC News. And we got George Soros, speaking of someone who's going to die pretty soon. Let me just play what he said about the ice sheet this week.
The melting of the Greenland ice sheet affects acid
oh my goodness.
Would increase the level of the oceans.
There you go. You got it out. It is okay to laugh. I mean, he is a reptile. Over to financial news. How major U.S. stock indexes fared on the Friday. Let's see. The Dow Jones fell 336 on Friday. For the week, the Dow was down 1,977 points, down 3%. So rough time in the market this week. When it comes to debt, Joe Biden is the $6 trillion man. No other president has ran up so much debt. Have you seen the U.S. debt clock lately? The United States readies an additional $10 billion in economic assistance for Ukraine. What's another $10 billion? Charge it up. The white slaves will pay for it. Biden's supersized IRS will spend more time auditing white Americans. I'll put a link to that from the Federalist. We got retail collapse. Over 800 big stores set to close due to inflation, crime, and interest rates. No doubt people just walking out of the stores without stuff. In fact, over in New York, this is a Manhattan UES store has a chain around the ice cream. A chain around the ice cream. I'll put a link to that. Cyber attack on food giant Dole temporarily touched down North American production. Company says in memo more attacks on the food supply. Over across the pond, you got a number of stores imposing purchase limits on fruits and vegetables due to supply chain issues. Put a link to that. USNominates this guy for the World Bank. He's the former head of MasterCard. Maybe he can dirk things back together. I don't know. Facebook owner Meta rolls out paid subscriptions. Here they are copying Twitter. They're losing money left and right. They got to do something to circumvent this. They're going to start paying people for subscription. Okay, SEC charges Mormon Church for concealing $32 billion portfolio. I'm shocked, and I got one at the bottom. Let's see, gear purchase for city as part of $224 million in COVID contracts auctioned off for just $500,000 in New York. Over to New World Order and police state news. This is where I stop and ask you to please share this report. There's a lot coming up. People need to know about. Liz Truss warns that authoritarian regimes are trying to create a new world order. A new world, oh, you crazy conspiracy theorists. I'll put a link to that. Academics propose rationing to combat climate change. That's what a new world order is going to look like. I'll put a link to that. James OKeefe resigns from Project Veritas after employee complaints. That is absolute bullshit. I'll put a link to that story, and I'll put a link to his 45-minute response that he posted. It was uploaded by Tim Pool. If you want to know what really happened to James OKeefe, he puts it all in a video for you. He has my full support. Facebook and Instagram threatened to restrict or ban Project Veritas. Well, the board couldn't have that. The board's got to deal with the problem, right? Because we have to censor people. We can't have him saying these things. Ex-MSNBC host reveals the truth behind censoring unfavorable coverage. Oh, come on now. That's got to be a conspiracy theory. Why would we talk bad about the pharmaceutical industry or the military-industrial complex when they're the ones paying the advertising bill? Put a link to that. Exclusive Project Veritas staffers tell board, quit or we walk. Shout out to you. I hope that's the case. Because wherever he goes, everyone's going to follow him there. Project Veritas will be nothing in the end. Other news, GBI investigates use of force incident. This is down in, I think that's Georgia Borough investigation. I'll put a link to this. And I'll put a link to the encounter. This guy was apparently walking to work. He matched the description of someone breaking into cars.
For a minute. Matching the description of someone trying to break into people's cars.
He just tries to tell the guy, I'm walking to work. And all this goes down. I mean, was that appropriate? I don't know. I'll put a link to the entire exchange. St. Louis County, over to the agenda front, announces LGBTQ task force. Yes, because in St. Louis, that's what we need to be focused on. Not all the crime and the carjackings and the robberies and the murders and the heroin problem. Yeah, task force. That makes sense. Check out what this preacher's saying in church here.
God is gay. God is a lesbian. God is trans.
Now, granted, I haven't been to church in a long time myself.
God is straight. God is cisgender.
But I did go to church when I was a kid.
God is black.
And my preacher wasn't talking like that. I got one at the bottom. Speaking of that, dad confronts teacher who made his son wear a dress.
I'm not playing with you.
I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you feel that way. But you should have called me before you made the decision to put my grandson in a dress.
And again, I'll say, I have no problem myself with what a grown adult wants to do with their life. They want to chop their penis off. They want to do whatever. That's your life. I'm not here to judge you. What bothers me is the agenda. And we can all see it. The agenda everywhere. It's constantly being pushed. Over to World War III news. Biden visits Ukraine and Poland. I'll put a link to this. I got some pictures of them together. Of course, this is a surprise trip. If we don't destroy it now, Russia put out a thing with their propaganda saying why the Kremlin allowed President Biden to visit, because they don't want to deal with Kamala Harris if they took out Biden. I'll put a link to that. Russian ICBM test failed while Biden was in Ukraine. I'm sure they're pissed off about that from the New York Post. Russia suspends last nuclear treaty with the U.S. That from RT. Put a link to that. Our tanks will be parked on Moscow's Red Square, and that will be Justice Kiev's Secretary Security Chief vows to expel all Russian troops from Ukraine soil. Yada yada. That from the Daily Mail. My friend F-Town over at Endgame W3 tweeted out, Chinese Foreign Ministry, Beijing is ready to join forces with Moscow to defend the national interests of two countries. I'll put a link to this. Yes, Zielinski comes out and says it threatens World War III if China allies with Russia. All kinds of World War III talk this week. Listen to what President Trump had to say.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists and the deep state. The Pentagon.
Did you clean house when you were in there, Mr. President? Just saying. North Korea launches 2 ballistic missiles after ICBM tests. I got another one here. North Korea makes fresh threats after U.S. bombers fly after the ICBM test. Put a link to that. Iran's highest ever uranium enrichment level, makes no mistake, warns Israeli researcher. Be advised, do they have the bomb now? I'll put a link to that. And I got one at the bottom. Attacks on the U.S. power grid are surging. Don't know if it's World War III related, just want to throw it in. Over to Earth changes in 2012 news now. For some reason, my earthquake data doesn't want to show up how I usually do it. I usually do 6 points and above for the past week. It's only working under 24 hours at the moment, so I don't know what's going on with that. I'll drop it down to 5. In the past 24 hours, we'd have a 6.0, 5.3, 5.1. I'll put a link to the earthquake data. I do have a link here regarding the Turkey-Syria earthquake. They had another tremor, 6.4 magnitude tremor followed by a 5.8, so they're still having aftershocks over there after the big one. I think it's over 50,000 people now declared dead. 29 states back in America under weather alerts as millions brace for winter storm. That from CBS News. Rare blizzard warning. A blizzard warning for Los Angeles, California. Yes, Cincinnati closes Ohio river intake to prevent contamination after the train derailment. They're closing down the river intakes. Arkansas plane crash. We had a plane crash. 5 environmental people who just so happened to be headed to Ohio. A coincidence or shenanigans? You tell me. 1 person killed in Oakwood Village factory explosion. This was, I think, also in Ohio. All kinds of craziness going on this week again. Fire engulfs Brooklyn lumber storage warehouse. I'll put a link to this from the local media. No offsite impact after uranium fire. A uranium fire breaks out at Y12. I believe this is at Oak Ridge. I'll put a link to this. Oak Ridge, Tennessee uranium fire, be advised. We also had 3 major explosions in Mexico and Texas down along that way. Check it out. I'm going to put a link to a GLP thread because they got all of the footage in here. Look at that. Look at that. That's going on down in Mexico, Texas area. These are petroleum storages, I believe. I'll put a link to it. They got all kinds of stuff in there. Thank you to the person who put up this thread. All kinds of stuff in there. Train carrying industrial material in the third is the third to derail in U.S. in just weeks. I think this happened in Nebraska. Somewhere. It's so hard to keep up with all this. I'll put all these train derailments and all these explosions. What's going on? Ranchers in the heart of California are concerned about hundreds of rail cars. This is the last story in this bin. Check it out.
Yesterday we were at a gathering and we were alerted by another rancher that the railroad company, some company that nobody knows which company this is, has brought in hundreds of these railroad cars. And you can just see the line of them here.
Don't know what that's about. I'll put a link to the video. Over to strange and bizarre news, and it's very strange this week. Allow me to play some videos. We got more drama at a Walmart. People acting a fool. I guess this guy rammed his cart into an employee. Maybe he was trying to steal stuff. I don't know. There's no story, so there's no context. But the lady rolls up behind him. Watch. Oh, knocked him out on the. And the siren goes off at the same time. I love it. Lowe's says it has taken prompt action after viral TikTok video showed an employee screaming for help. This was the guy. I think I included this in the report last week. The guy that was trying to get something down off the top shelf, and it smashed him, and he's screaming. Let's see. Young black women are attacking Asians in Philadelphia. We got madness on the subway. Why must you hate people? I'll put a link to this thing. Women's soccer team in Congo chase and hit and kick referee in violent attack after he denied them a penalty. I'll put a link. They got a video. The women are chasing down the referee. Man just dressed in 7-foot penis is arrested for harassing women. Oh, come on now. Why would you harass women? Victoria's Secret advertisement 2030. Now check this out. That's no good, man. You can't. Look. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Remember the lady jumped off the roof and she hit the awning and trying to jump into the pool? People, especially if you're bigger people, you cannot hesitate if you're going to jump off a cliff. You got to commit, because if not, things like this happen. I mean, if you can see, she hesitates at the last moment. If she would have just jumped feet first, it would have been fine. But now she's probably all sore and everything. Skin rotting drug infiltrates big cities, zombifying bodies. That from the New York Post. I'll put a link to it. Is that what's going on? I don't know. I don't know if it's a CGI or whatever this is, but there's apparently the living dead here on this video, or the Walking Dead. Is she on that drug, or I don't know what's going on there. Here we go. Lawyers preparing to quash possible indictments after have you seen the jury forewoman for the Trump thing going? Look, this is not parody, folks. This is real life. Let me just play a little bit of this for you.
I will be frustrated if nothing happens. This was too much information, too much of my time, too much of everyone's time, too much of their time, too much argument in court about getting people to appear before us. There was just too much for this to just be, oh, okay, we're good, bye.
Watch her smile here.
And if it was just a perjury trial.
This is creepy. I get to play this other one too. This one's even better.
Personally want to hear from the former president.
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome.
Isn't she like Greta's cousin? This the jury forewoman. I'll put a link to it. Ex-MMA star sparks backlash after he tweets about 2 men kissing in a commercial. Apparently he didn't enjoy that. He was watching something with his kids and 2 men were kissing in a commercial. We got this here. It's only mental illness. I don't know. Let's see.
In other words, my Sheenus, my outie, it will get to become my innie.
I don't know. Let's see. Spain decriminalizes sexual relations with animals as long as there's no physical injury that requires a veterinary assistance. I'll put a link to it. For all the news, please check my favorite videos. Bystanders chase down and pin man who just killed an officer. I think this happened a while back, but the video was just released. Put a link to that, or my favorites, rather. Let's see. Evacuate or body bag. They got some interviews with people in East Palestine, Ohio. Don't mess with this Florida County Sheriff. He says, my people have guns and they will use them. My residents, rather. And how to survive coronal mass ejection. Fox News Now is putting out how to survive coronal mass ejection. Also, the videos over there, Biden tripping up the steps as he leaves Poland, I believe. I'll put a link to my favorites. Thank you to everybody continuing to put out content, keeping everyone informed. You guys are doing awesome work. I got a couple shout-outs this week. Shout out to Rosie O'Donnell, who's bringing attention to what's going on in Ohio.
And I've been reading all the news reports on this horrible train derailment and chemical spill, toxic poisoning in Ohio. And fish dying, and chickens dying, and animals getting sick, and people feeling sick. And then the EPA comes out with a very non-alarmist, everything's okay, don't worry about a thing statement. And it's infuriating. I don't trust the EPA. I don't trust them. After 9/11, I don't know how anyone could.
Put a link to it. And shout out to the Whistleblowers, standing with James
I'm
O'Keefe.
the CBS Detroit whistleblower with Project Veritas, and I stand with James O'Keefe.
I'm the CNN whistleblower for Project Veritas, and I stand with James O'Keefe.
HHS vaccine nurse whistleblower with Project Veritas, and I stand with James O'Keefe.
I'm the Department of Homeland Security whistleblower from Project Veritas, and I stand with James O'Keefe.
Goes on for a while. We all stand with James O'Keefe. Project Veritas, you're done. He'll start something new and we'll all follow him. And Veritas will just crumble to the ground. The board will be sitting there all by their lonesome. That's all I got for this week, guys. If you like the report, please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you think it sucked, it's the worst, you never want to see it again, please rate it. It helps me move around. You can also follow me in all my links below. My my Twitter, my Gab, my BitChute, the Facebook page, all my links are at the bottom. You can support me on Patreon or directly with DonorBox. I put a lot into these reports every week to give you the news on a Sunday morning. I hope you guys are doing well. I don't know what's coming next, people. I haven't seen too much about any outbreaks of COVID-19. I think we're just kind of at a lull. We do have the Ebola thing that they're, kicking up a little bit. Tons of vaccine news out there that I can't really get into here. But what do you think's coming next? World War III? Russia's talking about this and that. Zielinski's threatening World War III if China and Russia get together, which it looks like they will. I don't know. Rocky times. We're heading into a rocky spring and summertime. You guys take care. Stay safe, though. Remain vigilant. Thank you for hanging out with me for a few minutes on Sunday while I give you the news. Have a good rest of the weekend. Have a good week. I love you very much. I will see you on the next one.